Pet loss grief is brutal, but for most people, it's more than grief. You may be holding beliefs about your pet's passing that aren't even true, making your pet loss grief journey even harder. So many people come to me as an animal communicator saying, Danielle, I am grieving so hard. It's been 3 months. I'm not over it. It's been 10 years. I'm not over it. I need help. I can't get up in the morning. And if you're watching this, that's probably you. And I'm sure you've heard this as a response. It's just a dog. It's just a cat. What are you doing? It's been 3 months. You should be over it. Or the empathy and the sympathy that was there in the beginning goes away and you just get silence to your grief, silence to your upset. And that is really, really hard to just feel abandoned like that, like nobody's here to understand. I want to let you know you haven't been grieving too long. You haven't been grieving too short. You didn't mess up your grief and you haven't done it wrong. And those people who are saying it's just an animal, they don't get it. Okay, wait. I want to make clear. Those people who don't get it, who are saying it's just an animal or you should be over it by now or whatever they're saying, they are saying that not because they're bad people and you must remove them all from your life, but because they haven't been there. They haven't had that deep love experience like you have. So maybe some of them need to leave your life, but maybe some of them don't. Give them some grace too, because they haven't yet experienced this. Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that nobody else is talking about around pet loss grief. So the first thing to know about the pet loss journey is that it's not just the grief that's creating the journey. If we could just have the grief and the missing feeling, it would be amazing. But as humans, we're adding so much extra stuff in there, right? We're hiding our feelings because people don't understand. We're feeling weird because this isn't a human and people think it should be a human. We are adding in the second guessing and the regret and the guilt. And all of that actually takes this grief and weighs it down. Grief is a normal, natural process that we are privileged to experience because we loved so deeply. But we often aren't even able to experience the grief because all of the guilt is on top. And a lot of those people who are emailing or, showing up in my social media saying, this is unbearable. It's because they're mixing other things in there. Imagine the freedom of letting go of any guilt around your pet's passing so that you could just be with their memory, so that you could call them in, so that you could enjoy them again. When we stop with the guilt, we actually hone in on the grief. And the grief allows for a bigger opening in that relationship. And I'll talk more about that. But the grief and the sadness, those are the natural pieces. And then the human parts we add in are all these other regrets, all these other pieces. So many people don't understand the mix of what's going on inside them. And that's where they end up getting stuck and emailing or showing up in a live webinar and saying, I don't understand why I feel this way. What is going on? It's because they're letting it overcome them. They're letting all that other stuff push their grief down. We want that grief. That grief is part of the process of love with our pet. And we will eventually move this into a grief that functions a different way. But when it's weighed down with all those other things, which is usually what's going on when you're saying to me, I don't understand, we're unable to move on that journey. The next thing that I feel like nobody really talks about or acknowledges, you may be feeling like you're broken because you feel the grief. And that grief is something that you should be able to turn off or change or be able to move through or do the stuff and have the steps and, all of that. And it does not work like that. I feel like a disservice was done when grief was, for humans, was distilled down to the stages of grief. Everybody grieves differently. You may take longer, you may take shorter, you may not feel anything for a while, and it may show up 3 years later. None of it means you're broken. None of it means that you should be having different sadness or experiencing that sadness and that grief differently. I just want to stop there for a moment because when I filmed this live during the live stream, somebody asked, is my pet on the other side disappointed in me because it's been 3 years and I'm still grieving? That's still coming from this mindset of I should be done grieving by now. I'm broken because I'm grieving. Not a thing for the animals on the other side. They love us unconditionally. And it doesn't matter in any negative way that we're still grieving. They look at everything like, hey, is there a way you can grow and evolve and become more conscious from this? I love you as you go about your grieving process in whatever way you go about it. There's no animal on the other side who's saying, you're broken, get over it. That's just your human stuff getting in the way. You're going to grieve as long as you're going to grieve, and there's no end point on that. I still have grief for my dogs that passed in 2014. It's part of the love that I felt for them now. And it's gotten kind of bound up and packaged with that love as I've moved through my journey. Now, if you want more content like this, you can always subscribe. It is the best way to know when I'm going live, as I am kind of jumping around a little bit to figure out what works, what do I love, and what do you love. This is something that I've addressed in videos, but I don't think I've addressed it as clearly as I'm about to address it. So yes, grief lowers the vibration. Yes. And our pet's vibration is higher because they're on the other side. They have mastered unconditional love. Like their vibration's naturally higher. It is so much easier for us to receive signs from our pets on the other side when our vibration is higher. But you can still receive signs from your pet on the other side, even when you're grieving. And you are still having signs sent to you when you're deeply grieving. It's not that your pet isn't sending signs, it's that the grief sometimes becomes the full focus and you don't notice the signs. So it's easier to notice the signs when the grief eases. But this is very different, right? I'm not saying your pet isn't sending signs. I'm saying the grief can sometimes make it a little harder to receive the signs that they're sending. Oop, I forgot to say, I do have a 48 signs from your pet on the other side PDF that I forgot to mention. I don't know why I always forget to mention that, but it's down in the description. I feel like people get all caught up in, I need to clear through this grief. I need to get through it. So I'm out on the other side and I'm normal. And once I'm normal, I'll be able to get all those signs. And it doesn't work that way. And you're actually never going to be normal again. You're going to come to your new normal. That's just how it works. You're finding a new normal. And I don't think people talk about that very much either. You will never go back to how you were, but you can grow from this grieving process. Now, I am an animal communicator. I've been doing this a long time. For a lot of people, pet loss grief feels harder than human loss grief. And it all depends on the person. I'm not saying this is a blanket statement, but who here feels like losing your pet was harder than losing a human? One of the main reasons for that is we don't talk about it. We don't have places where it's okay. So many people put animals at a lower level than humans. And yes, as humans, we could do more in the physical world, et cetera, but we haven't mastered unconditional love. So that pet loss grief, it's almost like you have nowhere to put it, no one to understand. You feel more alone. That abandonment feeling can come up. You just don't get the support because people are basically saying, it's not a human. What's up? I mean, that's why I created like my Be Open community, because actually most people come there from here and they go there because they want a safe place to just let it all hang out and to continue explore their pet loss grief journey, but also explore what's going on inside them and actually grow from their pet loss. But you have to find a place where it's acceptable to grieve as much as you're grieving. And who cares if it's more than a human that you grieved for? Right? Who cares? All that matters is this is your journey right now. So much of what I'm talking about here is about you accepting that this is your journey and understanding the nuances within it so that it's easier for you to have this pet loss journey. The other, and I kind of alluded to this a moment ago, and this is not a well known thing, but in my world, it's something that I see all the time. And it's really very cool and very exciting to me. So often, an animal passing wakes up in us a desire for more, a desire to understand the world differently. It wakes up our desire to reconnect with them from the other side. It wakes up our intuition. I cannot tell you how many of my students in my animal communication classes took my class because their pet who passed kept nudging them in that direction. Because what does it do? It allows them to actually start reconnecting with their pet who passed without needing a me, without needing a practitioner, an animal communicator, but they can be the animal communicator for themselves. It's very empowering. And I cannot tell you how many people have had an animal pass and they show up in my courses or my Be Open community and they actually say, I didn't believe in any of this stuff until my pet passed. And it created an opening. And now I'm exploring that opening. And then they kind of go down a different path. They figure some stuff out. They learn, they grow, they expand. Our animals on the other side, they want us to continue to grow and open. And so many of them are using their passing as a way to help us do that. It's the catalyst. I have another video which may be helpful, especially if you're deep in that grieving process. So I'll be sure to link to that.